You own a Cricut machine and you've been trying to figure out how to make your own card decals? Well, here, let me show you how I do it in this video. For today's video, I'm going to be using Tech Wrap's bubble-free metallic vinyl as well as Fresco Craft transfer tape. Of course, you'll also need a cutting machine. I'm using a Cricut Maker 3, but any of the Cricut machines will do. You'll also need a mat. Now, depending on the size of your design will depend on what size mat you'll need, so just keep that in mind when you're sizing up your design. You'll also need a weeding tool, and I always recommend a squeegee that has a felt liner on one side. The reason being is when you're applying your vinyl onto your mat, you want to make sure you're not causing any premature scratches. And always remember, when we're working with permanent vinyl, you want to keep shiny or the colored side of your vinyl is facing upwards. That way, when the machine actually cuts out your vinyl, it allows us to apply the transfer tape on top in order to complete your decal. Also, a huge tip that I have is I changed out my blade from the traditional 45-degree angle to a 60-degree angle, and I feel like that has been helping me a lot more getting crisp lines on my decals. Since we are working with that 60-degree blade, we want to make sure that we're changing the settings in Cricut Design Space in order to make sure it's compatible with that blade. We want to make sure we're not applying too much pressure or it can cause jagged edges or end up cutting through your material altogether. So the material settings that I'm using is vinyl with less pressure. For me, the most nerve-wracking part about making these card decals is honestly adding this transfer tape, because this can make or break it. And the biggest tip that I have if you're trying to place transfer tape onto larger designs is to cut your transfer tape larger than the actual design itself. Then I like to peel back about an inch of the backing, fold it over and create a crease. That way it makes it easier to align above your design. Then I'll fold back on the transfer tape and apply light pressure using my squeegee, and then just using the back and forth motion until it's fully covered my design. After I have the transfer tape fully applied onto my design, I make sure to squeeze out any air bubbles. Then I'll use an X-Acto knife in order to trim off the excess amount of transfer tape. Since this is a decal that we are selling, I like to just clean off the edges one more time just to make sure it looks nice and pretty before I package it. There you have it. Here's your completed card decal. Trust me, it is extremely durable. My husband has had his on for about 4 or 5 months now. We power wash his car about 2 times a week and it's still on there, super shiny. I hope this video has helped you. Feel free to leave any questions below and check out our other decals in the link in bio.